We have 5% of the world population and 25% of the incarcerated population. So it's absurd. There are a lot of donors, a lot of political donors, a lot of charitable donors, but there aren't that many, I don't think, who follow their money. We like to know where our dollars go and be involved.
I'm here with Doug Deason, president of the Deason Foundation, and I think you describe yourself as a donor activist, a kind of a rare breed, so to speak.
That's right. There aren't many, there are a lot of donors, a lot of political donors, a lot of charitable donors, but there aren't that many, I don't think, who follow their money. We like to know where our dollars go and be involved. And so, the different programs, whether it's criminal justice reform, education reform, or, promoting free enterprise are kind of our primary areas that we work in. And we know where our dollars go. And we're involved in the C3s and C4s that do the work.
Well, yeah. So, speaking of, activism, you were kind of, I think, instrumental in helping move along this First Step Act that President Trump actually also championed. Tell me about that process a little bit.
Okay. Well, first I would say that to me there's only one person, maybe two, who can actually take credit and say, we did this, and that would be obviously President Trump and then Jared. Now, there are a lot of, I would say, 40 or 50 people who, if it had not been for them, it wouldn't have happened. I would be one, I would say. Certainly Mike Lee, several people, Van Jones, several people on the left, Alice Marie Johnson, Kim Kardashian. So, a really diverse group of people who it wouldn't have happened. Brooke Rollins, who ended up in the White House. It wouldn't have happened without the team that we put together, because when the bill hit the Senate, it was, quote, dead on arrival, according to Mitch McConnell. And so, we mounted a campaign at home led by Kelly Paul, Rand Paul's wife. She did a wonderful job, and she was the good person. And then we had some bad people who played bad guys attacking Mitch McConnell at home. And we spent some money there and put the pressure on him, but it really took the president. The president called him and said, I want that bill on the floor. And that's ultimately what got it there.
Well, and let's remind everyone, what it actually did.
Okay.
Like, what did it change?
So the First Step Act was, what was interesting about it was that it didn't do anything new that hadn't already been done in the states, mainly Texas, but other states as well. But it had not been done at the federal government. So it passed the House with Doug Collins at the time. Congressman Doug Collins is the author. And it reformed the prison system and prison reentry, but it did not reform sentencing.
It didn't reform what, sorry?
Sentencing.
Sentencing.
So if you remember, this current president was the author of the Clinton crime bill, the 1994 Clinton crime bill. If you look at it, no two people in recent history have put more black men in prison than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And, that's just a fact. I hope that they're changing their ways. I have some, I think, reason for optimism that they're going to continue on with some of the things that President Trump had done on criminal justice reform. But I don't have a lot of hope there. But so there was sentencing reform from going back to the 94 crime bill, where, they had the 3 strikes, you're out. They had, and that's 3 strikes, so it could be a state, you could break a state law, have broken a state law, or federal law. And so it was pretty easy to hit that 3 strikes. And 3 strikes, it was essentially life in prison. So we ended up adding quite a bit of sentencing reform to the bill as well.
Yeah. I mean, we've had Alice Marie Johnson on the show before. We've had Brooke Rollins on the show. I don't think we actually talked criminal justice reform, but some of this original policy ideas came out of the Texas Public Policy Foundation and some of the work that they did. Now, I guess, tell me the philosophy here, because it's really a change in approach. That kind of, and then the policy is based on that. So tell me about the philosophy behind it.
I'm on the board of Texas Public Policy Foundation, and we have a group called Right on Crime, And Right on Crime, we're the largest right-leaning criminal justice reform advocacy group in the country by far. We work in 32 states. We're actually just picked up our 7th country, Uruguay. So we work with other countries as well to help advance, everything soup to nuts, from sentencing reform, prison reform, reentry reform, because 80% of people who go to prison are either addicted, they have an addiction issue, alcohol or drugs, or mental health issues. And so there's so much we can do before they ever get there. And so if we have, what we've done in Texas are diversion programs, and we're able to get some of that set up in the federal system, and we got a lot of work to do there yet. But if you can divert someone out of the system before they ever get there, and then if they complete if it's drug addiction, then a drug addiction therapy program, then charges are dropped and they never enter the system. And most people will see the light and stop abusing drugs at that point. Not everyone, but a good percentage of people.
This is, this is a very interesting, I guess, development, because this is the idea. The idea is to not penalize people for lighter crimes to the extent that they were before, right?
Right.
In the previous rules, and also keep as many people out of the system, like you said, and because America's system is basically, and this is, I'm speaking as a Canadian, just kind of looking in from the outside.
Right.
There's just a really large number of people in the system, right? It's kind of cited.
The best statistics are we have 5% of the world population, 25% of the incarcerated population.
Yeah,
it's absurd. We have more prisoners by far than Russia, or even, depending on how you look at prisoners in North Korea. We're one of the most heavily incarcerated countries in the world, obviously. And it's called a correctional system, is what's so odd about it, is, there's nothing correctional about our correctional system, has not been traditionally in the states or at the federal level. About 10%, a little under 10% of prisoners are in the federal system. So, the answer is always from the BOP or the Bureau of Prisons or the Department of Justice is that, we only have 8 or 9% of the prisoners, so we're not really the issue. Well, no, that's, if you're a state, you'd be the most incarcerated state, because no other state has that many prisoners. So California has the most. Texas is, right, we're in the top 10, but we've made a lot of progress. So what was fun about in the House and the Senate as we made the rounds selling this bill to Republicans and Democrats was the question would be, how do we know this will work? Well, what do you need? We've got it. We've got all the proof. I can send you this study, that study, a copy of the bill and the law that became law in Texas that worked.
Well, right, exactly. And you had this proof of concept from the state that you can actually apply. No,
exactly.
Super interesting. What is it at this point with this Congress and with this administration? How can the work of the First Step Act, which is just a first step, as everyone always tells me, and I know, be taken further?
Number one, it has to be fully implemented. And so we spent that past the president. I was in the Oval Office with the president when he signed that bill, and I think it was December 21st of 2018. It was right around their day or two, but right before Christmas of 18. And we spent the next 2 years just trying to make sure that it was implemented, because it's hard to get a big cruise ship like or it's not, a cruise ship's probably an exaggeration, but a big tugboat like the federal government, the Bureau of Prisons and the Department of Justice to change course. And it was hard, and we had to file lawsuits, and we had to put a lot of pressure where we could. And luckily, we had a lot of support from the Senate and the House with that. So then the second step would be more sentencing reform, most importantly, because we still have so many people, and making them retroactive. We have so many people who are in prison right now at the federal level. This only applies to the federal level, but it's been imitated in quite a few states, some version of it. Like Florida had their First Step Act, which was really great. It was a start. They've got a lot of work to do. But sentencing reform to where people who broke laws or were sentenced under guidelines that are no longer in effect are still sitting in prison, maybe for the rest of their lives, if we're not able to make that retroactive. So unless they get a clemency from the president.
Where is your activism heading now?
I kind of look at the federal level was a distraction. It was great. I'm glad we got it done. But again, over 90% of the prisoners are in states. Texas, we still have a lot of work we can do. So we're working hard on reforming our bail system, our pretrial system there right now. Some states have already done what we're trying to do. And then once we get it done, then try to take that to other states. But I'm on an advisory panel or commission to Governor DeSantis here in Florida. And we've got a lot of work to do there. Unfortunately, our champion in the House, Byron Donald, fortunately, we supported him. He's now Congressman Byron Donald. But he's great, and so we've got to find more champions in the House. The Senate in Florida is a lot better. Senator Jeff Brandes is the big champion in the Senate, but there are other good champions for criminal justice reform.
I just had Byron Donald's here. In your seat moments ago. Yes. Well, no, that's excellent, and I think one of the big things. And I'll offer a little bit of my take. I think that the Fed doing it at the federal level raised awareness across the country.
Right.
And and it was one of these, I guess, rare areas of somewhat bipartisanship under the previous administration.
It was really interesting. They always call it sausage making, right? And so I had seen it obviously at the state level, mostly in Texas, but I've seen it in Kentucky with Matt Bevin, and Indiana with Governor Pence when he was governor. We helped him with some things. Governor Ducey in Arizona. But at the federal level, it's a whole different level. I mean, it's you really don't want to see what goes into the federal sausage. And that's part of the problem is nobody really ever sees it. Not even the senators. They don't know what they're voting on. I mean, the bills, most of the time, many times, they get a bill that they've never seen the final version of. And that's why they have to go back in and clean them up afterwards, because people are sliding in, bridges to nowhere and little items that have maybe nothing to do really with the bill at all, and it gets slid in and nobody catches it because it's just gone literally door to door being amended. And that's what frustrates, like Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton, I'm a big Tom Cotton fan. He's not a big fan of criminal justice reform. He's been painted as an enemy, and I don't believe that he is. He's just a very logical, intelligent person, and he wants to know what he's voting for. And when the First Step Act came out, before I came to D.C. the week before the vote, I called him and I said, we really want you to, or texted him, and he called me, and so I set up a meeting. He said, but send us the bill. Send me the bill. So I said, okay, no problem. So I called Brooke Rollins in the White House, and I said, Brooke, we got to get Tom Cotton a bill. He's going to seriously, he and his counsel are going to go over it. We're going to meet Monday. And she goes, okay, no problem. We'll get him a copy. All weekend, nothing. Monday morning, Sunday, I get into town, and I called her. I said, do we have it? She goes, no. Monday morning, I called her, are we going to be able to do it? No. So I texted him, I said, I don't have the bill. He goes, I know you don't. There was no way you're going to get it. He said, come on over. So I went over, and so we talked hypothetical, as he said, because you don't know if what we're talking about is really going to be in the bill. And so he voted against it. But he was, appreciated enough of what it did to not talk trash about it.
Fascinating. That's you just gave us a little bit of an insight into the federal sausage making, as you call it.
Right.
Well, Doug Deason, any final thoughts?
No, I think that I'm so excited that ACU is putting a focus on criminal justice reform. A lot of the conservative groups, Turning Point USA, obviously Charlie Kirk has put a big emphasis on it. Candace Owens has really focused on it with Blexit and her efforts, and it's become a popular subject, and it's heartwarming to see that.
Absolutely. Well, it's such a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, Ann. I appreciate it.